Hi, my name is Alexis. Welcome to this video. I'm a counselor who helps people get back with their ex, and it's something very important you have to understand. Something that I assess with my clients is attachment style. And attachment theory is the topic of this video. It's very important for you to understand how it works, and because depending on your style, depending on your ex's style, your strategy or whatever you have to do will differ. So I'll explain everything in this video for you to really take action and understand a little bit more why maybe this breakup or why things you're doing right now doesn't work with your ex. It's probably because of your attachment style.
IGetMyExBack.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.
So I'm going to base this video and probably the other videos on the topic on this book. It's a book that I recommend to most of my clients. Amazing book. The reason I use this book is because it's obviously a reference, but it is using a lot of scientific studies and research paper. And in a way, I know that there's a lot of other attachment styles, like people come up with 5 attachment styles now. I'd rather use scientific, evidence-based research, and also things that this book has been there for 10 years, so I know what they're talking about. You have to be mindful when you use information or data. Of course, you want to get the cutting edge stuff, but at the end of the day, the reference are the books that last longer. So in those type of things, I'd rather take a book that is a bit older, but I know for sure that it is a reference. So if you want to buy the book, don't hesitate to buy the book. If you're lazy, I will explain a little bit more in this video, but it's based on this book, which is like really the reference in that topic. So why is it important and relevant for you? Dozens of studies on the subject. It's something well documented, and it covers everyone, whether you're single, whether you're in couple, whether you're gay, straight, young, old. It's not so much about the psychology of the couples or the behaviors of the couple. It's really, really holistic, and it covers everyone at any stage of your life. It's also one of the best romantic predicator of romantic behavior. That's why it's important for you. So 3 major styles, and I will explain those styles in 1 second. Anxious, avoidant, secure. There's another one, a 4th one, which is fearful avoidant, but I don't want to cover this because it's, in a way, I want to make things simpler, and I don't want to spend time on something that represents few percentage of the population, and in a way, the strategy that I will teach in this video apply the same way. So, how does it work? Where does this attachment style come from? Come from the cavemen and come from the kids. So from the kids, the mother and baby attachment, really a fundamental need that we all have as human beings, is the attachment we have with our mother. And those 3 categories, secured, anxious and avoidant, came from an experiment, a famous experiment, where you would take away a baby from his mother and look at his reaction. Option A, the baby cries, he needs to be settled, and when his mom comes back, he gets the mother in his arm and he's settled and he's fine. That's secured attachment style. B, the mother leaves the room, he cries, but when she comes back, he cries again, and it takes a lot of time for him to really settle down. That's the anxious attachment style. 3rd one is the baby leaves the room and the baby doesn't care. He's avoidant. Okay? So it's really based on those attachment styles, and I will explain a little bit more. Attachment styles are coming from childhood, but not necessarily only from childhood. It could also be created from past relationship. And you'll understand when I'm going to explain a few examples whether this is coming from your parents or if it's coming from your first relationships that you had. There's another reason or the other source of this attachment, and it's something very important for you if you are really suffering after this breakup, when you feel like I lost something so meaningful. Well, you are just a human being, basically. It is and this John Bowlby did a research on that. Linking the attachment style with our evolution. Back in the days, bonding with someone was basically a predictor of us surviving in the jungle, surviving in the wild. And it is why we have this essential need to be connected, this need for bonding. People who were alone, left alone, were not surviving. So in a way, there's been some evolution, and only the people who had this deep need for bonding survived. Now, what it means for you, it's natural to be dependent. And so I've seen a lot of things, and maybe sometimes it's a bit fashion to say like I'm super independent, codependency is bad. We are all dependent. It's a fundamental need that we need others. Right now, that's why you're probably super sad, depressed, lost. It's because you've lost something fundamental. So you're not weak, you're not crazy, right? It's really something, a need that you have that has been removed from you. Anxious attachment style would amplify that need for bonding, while avoidant will suppress. We still have, all of us have this need. The avoidant will just suppress it. So it's there, but he or she would suppress that need. It's very important for you. We all share that need. So the question is, which is your attachment style? Maybe by watching the video, you'll understand what is your attachment style. If you're not sure, I put together a fairly quick quiz for you to assess your attachment style, because based on your attachment style, you'll understand that your strategy, as I mentioned, to get back with your ex will be slightly different. So we'll start with anxious attachment style. Anxious attachment style, it's really the primary fear of abandonment. So it's about 20% of the population. It's people who are hungry for validation. Feeling that your partner doesn't care enough. They feel that it's just a one-sided relationship. I'm always invested, but he doesn't or she doesn't invest in the relationship. That feel for, the neediness, the clingy behavior. And you see, when I say those things, you see that after the breakup, maybe you felt more clingy, maybe you felt that you needed more. Maybe it's because of your anxious attachment style. An example is very anxious when your partner doesn't text back enough. And again, when I ask people to do no contact, a lot of people who are anxious, they are super stressed by that because they feel the need even more than someone who's secured avoidant. However, and I want to highlight that there's superpower based on the back of this. It's not only bad to be anxious. You're very sensible, you're caring, you're affectionate. There's been studies about people who were more aware of the sensitivity and emotions of people. They could read facial expression way more than other people. My cat is destroying, hold on, the table, of course. This way. So in a way, you have that superpower. That hypersensitivity can also work in your favor. And it's not male, female. You have equally the same number of anxious male and female. Same for avoidant and secure. Avoidant, they have a fear, is the fear of intimacy, and it's about 25% of the population. Basically, trouble getting close to other or trusting other. They feel suffocated when they are close with someone. They feel that they need that freedom. So they are emotionally unavailable, and that's why we see if the avoidant is in a relationship with an anxious, there's an imbalance because they're not emotionally available, and that anxious partner needs that emotional connection. They prefer obviously to be independent and rely on themselves. An example of things an avoidant person will say is, I think it's going too fast. I need some space. So perhaps something that your ex told you before the breakup. Perhaps it's something you said to your ex. Maybe you're an avoidant. I have a lot of clients who are avoidant. It doesn't mean that if you are watching my videos, you're anxious attachment style. It really depends. But the idea is for you to, by understanding those concepts, to adapt your strategy and to really, in a way, I'm a strong believer that by understanding how we are, by understanding why we behave in a certain way, it's the only way and the best way to progress, to grow, and to avoid making the same mistakes, and to escape from perhaps the structure you have, the depression you have, or you're going through the bad times. It's really by understanding those stuff that you can basically use that breakup and learn from that. superpower of avoidant people is they have usually high self-esteem. They cope with breakup way more easily than anxious attachment style, and they are way more independent, obviously. So as I mentioned, a lot of my clients, they are avoidant, so maybe they cope more easily emotionally from that breakup, but it doesn't mean that they don't want a relationship. And a lot of people, when they're avoidant, they realize that actually there's an inner conflict within themselves, because as I mentioned before, we all have this deep need for dependency, this deep need for bonding. And when they push away their partner, when they feel that they are ruining the relationship, that's something that made them happy because they were in love, they are able to love, it's not the problem. Now, with a bit of reflection, they realize that I need to do something about it. And I need to do something because if I want to have a wife or a husband and kids, and if I want to grow a family, I need to work on this and be more secure. And what is a secure attachment style? It's the ability to form secure, loving relationship with others. It's about 50% of the population. So basically, they trust others. They can be trusted, they can be loved, they accept love, they get close, they're not afraid of intimacy, they don't feel panicked when their partners need space and time. They are able to depend on others without becoming totally dependent. And that's the paradox. That's the thing that is really hard to sometimes understand, and I hope I'll explain it properly. The more secure you are, the more you're able to be independent. In a way, and I'm going to use the example of kids. If you want your kids to be independent, it's by showing him that there's this secured area, this secured spot where they can always come back. Let's say you go at the park, they stay with you, they feel secured, and then they can go and play with other kids. And they know that they can play, they can take risk because you're there. If your parent, a helicopter parent, always on their back, always with them, they're not letting them, go in the park and play with other kids, you'll nurture this anxious attachment style. If, in contradiction, you're not there, you leave them, and when they cry, you're like, hey, it's fine, you're a big boy. You're nurturing, you're fueling this avoidant attachment style. They will create that feeling that they can be independent and rely on themselves. So it's a bit like the same. If you want to nurture or to have a strong relationship with your partner, you have to work at being more secure, and you also have to find a partner who is secured. That's the thing. That's the very important thing. So what does it mean for you and your ex? Your ex is either, or yourself, either anxious or avoidant. So about less than 50% of people are either avoidant or anxious. So that's probably the case statistically that you're watching the video. Either one of you is one of those attachment styles. And what you have to understand is these two attachment styles are based on a fear. The fear of intimacy or the fear of abandonment. So ask yourself this question. What are you scared of? What is your ex scared of? It is really what I do with my clients. Is we talk about fear a lot of the time, almost every single session that I have. If you want to ex back, the first step is to remove the fear. To remove the fear, because you need to show them that there's a secure space, that they can be comfortable with you, that you won't be too clingy, that you won't be too needy if they're avoidant. Or if they're anxious, that you'll be there for them, that you'll be caring, that you'll be emotionally available. So you have to create that space. You have to show them that actually it's okay to get back together. Don't be scared. It's really the first barrier you need to knock down when it comes to getting back with your ex, is to remove that fear. The thing is, you can trigger your partner's attachment style by acting in a non-secured way. And so someone who would come across as secured can become anxious by dating someone who's avoidant, and the other way around. So by being clingy with an avoidant, by being distant with an anxious person, reflect on your relationship. What was the dynamic in the relationship? And of course, you can't be 100% secured. I have a tendency to be a bit more avoidant, and my wife has a tendency to be a little bit more anxious, but we are both secure and we understand those stuff and we know our attachment style in a way. So we understand that when we say something or when we do something, we can reflect and like, is it my avoidant attachment style talking or behaving, or is it like a secured way of dealing with that situation? So it's very important as well during the relationship and after the breakup, because sometimes the breakup creates an amplificator of our behaviors. Someone who's avoidant, who decides to end the relationship, will be even more distant. Someone who's anxious after a breakup will be even more stressed, even more anxious, will feel that he needs other to feel valued. So look at those things and really assess whether in that relationship, what was the dynamic? And after the breakup, what is the dynamic? Maybe it was more or less secure during the relationship, but now it's sort of really anxious, avoidant type of dynamic. If you want your ex back, you have to work at being more secure. If you can change your ex, that's good, but the first thing is to work at being more secure. So work with a counselor like myself, a therapist, to help you overcome your non-secure attachment style. The good thing is, and I'm going to mention it again, it's not a curse, you can change, you can work on yourself. The thing, being more secure, don't touch my mic. Oh, sorry. Being more secure will help you grow emotionally. You'll heal quicker. I don't know if I'm going to edit this part anyway. Communicate more efficiently and find the right partner, because perhaps at the end of that process, working on yourself, you realize that, well, now that I'm secure, now that I know what I want, I don't want to date someone who's avoidant. I don't want to date someone who's not available emotionally. Or maybe you'll feel like, I don't want to be back with that person who's anxious, who creates drama when there's no drama. So really, you also be, in a way, empowered and have the choice, which is, I think, a luxury, to have the choice, whether you want to get back with your ex or not, and whether you want to find someone else or not. And so the final word is that your style is not a curse. As long as you work on your style, you understand your shortcomings, you can work at being more secure, and also find a partner who's more secure, because that's how it works. It's being secured and having someone who is secured that will help you build sustainable relationship. And also the strategy to get back with your ex depends on their style and depends on your style. So really analyze the situation right now and see whether you are fueling their attachment style and what you should be doing differently to come across as more secured. Because if you're more secured, you remove the fear. If you remove the fear, they'll be able to say, it's not scary anymore. I can go back in that place. I can give him or her a second chance. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to ask them in the comment section, and don't hesitate to like the video. It will help me to understand whether you like that topic. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
IGetMyExBack.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.